What up? It's Papa Swoleo. Papa Swoleo. Papa Swoleo. This is how Papa Swoleo makes sick fucking gains live on camera. What up? Welcome to episode 456. 456. 156.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Papa Swoleo making sick fucking gains live on camera. Welcome every day at 12 noon Eastern time. You can catch all the episodes on YouTube and also listen to the podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes. Welcome to the Gain Train. Welcome to Pumptown. Welcome to Gainesville. Welcome to Boston, Mass. Bam! Where we make sick gains live on camera. Oh, what up? You like that shit? You like it? You like the beard? You like the hair? Good. Good. You got no choice because if you're watching the Daily Sleazy, that's what you're going to get. So take a moment right now. Right now, take a moment to like, float some thumbs, float some hearts. Come on, give me a chub. Give me a chub with some hearts. And also, mash that share button. Definitely spread the word of the Daily Swole. I really appreciate it every time you tag someone and every time you hit the share button. Muchos apreciados, because I see your names pop up for those of you that share it. And love, love, love the support. So thank you for sharing the broadcast. Thanks for spreading the word. The bird is a word. Today is all about the shoulder. Going to get into a little bit more in depth. Going to go into it. Going to knowledge fist the shoulder a little bit more. So, shoulder week. Shoulder week. Just had Shark Week. Now we got Shoulder Week. You like that? You like that? Yeah. I know you do. I know you do. And I'm hyped up, a little jacked up, and I'm ready to crush some arms today. Yesterday I did shoulders, and I had a sick pump going on. Felt really good in the gym. Yeah, I felt fantastic. I felt amazing. Had a great pump. Let's talk about the shoulder. Let's talk about how it works. And let me dispel a couple of the, I don't want to say theories, but the misunderstandings when it comes to the shoulder. So the big thing yesterday that I was hammering home was the fact that the shoulder accomplishes a couple different things. It provides mobility and stability. And I explained how the body alternates mobility and stability throughout, right? You have mobile joints and you have stable joints, okay? And that's how the body does both. That's how you keep mobility and that's how you keep the stability. That's how you can do all these amazing things and produce a lot of force still, because the body can produce force because of the stability, but you can bend and twist and do all these cool things because of the mobility. And I explained with the scale, right, that you have a balance. You have mobility and stability, and when one goes up, the other goes down. So it's a very tenuous situation, and depending on what you're doing in the gym, you can imbalance that whole system. So when you have more mobility, you have less stability. When you have more stability, you have less mobility. If I said that right, but when one goes up, one goes down. So if something's really stiff and stable, you can't move it too much. And if something's really mobile, it's not that stable. So a lot of force could cause an injury. And that's why a lot of people that have hyper flexibility, that are super mobile, but don't have a lot of, stability, usually goes the other way around. You usually don't have a lot of people that are crazy mobile and not stable. We far imbalanced. We are more stable and stiff and limited in motion, and we are losing the mobility. So that's our general problem as a society. So how does the shoulder work and how does that play? So what I explained yesterday was that if you lose mobility, if you have a joint that's supposed to be mobile and you lose that mobility because you're sitting in a car, because you're stiff, because you're at a desk, you're not stretching, you're locked in position, your body detours and compensates. It does this. Your body detours and compensates and will create mobility in other places. And you don't want that. When you start doing that, you start getting really fucked up, because your body will produce mobility where it shouldn't. Your body will try to get from point A to point B, and you'll start hurting things like your back, because when your hips get locked up and your thoracic spine gets locked up, your body is going to start searching for mobility wherever it can, and then your lower back gets more action, and which is not good, and then you pop a disc, you herniate a disc, bulging disc. Don't fall asleep on me. Float some hearts, float some thumbs, and drop a comment below if you have any knee pain, if you have any back pain, if you have any shoulder pain. Comment below where you're feeling injured, where you've gotten injured, because that's part of this conversation. So if you have had a shoulder injury, tell me what the shoulder injury was before, what you had. If you had a lower back injury, drop it in the comments, and a knee injury, because these are all related. So what are we talking about when it comes to the shoulder? We got two parts of the shoulder. The shoulder does both. The shoulder is an amazing joint. Well, the shoulder is an amazing area that does both stability as well as doing mobility. So the shoulder does both, and that's pretty fucking sweet because we need both there. And the reason why this area does both is because we need it. We need it to provide force, and we need it for mobility. We need it for both of those things, okay? We need it for both of those things. You get stability from what we call the shoulder girdle. You get mobility from what we call the shoulder joint. Now, the difference between the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint are the muscles that act there, where the muscle attachments are. So the shoulder girdle are the muscles that go from the axial skeleton, like the ribs and shit, okay? So we'll talk from the skeleton. I'm just gonna say skeleton because it's easier, and most of you will be like, skeleton. I say axial, the fuck? So skeleton to the scapula. And the scapula is the shoulder blade. The joint are the muscles that cross onto the humerus. Now, those are some bigger words, and that's getting a little more anatomical, but I just want to drop that information, show that there's two things going on with the shoulder. You have the muscles that go from the ribs to the scapula, like the little finger muscles of the serratus anterior. You have, other muscles like the pectoralis minor that go from the ribs to the scapula that allow for your shoulder blade to go up, to elevate, to depress, to protract, to retract. Your rhomboids, a lot of you know the rhomboids, a lot of you know the middle traps, the upper trapezius, you know the lower trapezius, you've heard of these muscles. These muscles go from the skeleton to the scapula and move the scapula around. They provide a lot of stability. The scapula, as you know, doesn't go fucking all the way forward. It has like a limited motion, like you kind of raise your shoulder blade up, down, protract. Sometimes it pops out. You can feel the bone a little bit. You can pinch it back. It goes, but it doesn't go crazy. You have big fucking muscles attaching onto it. You got strong pec minor. You got the strong traps. You got the strong rhomboids. Stability. And then you have, mobility. I mean, you get mobility too, and I'll explain why, but you get a lot of big muscles here. The mobility, you get some big muscles and smaller muscles, but you get muscles that cross the joint and attach onto the humerus. So you get the rotator cuff, you get some stability. Honestly, I kind of did this a little bit wrong to say that this is all mobility, but I'm gonna erase this because I started writing stability, mobility, and I wasn't planning on doing like a flow chart. I was just going to explain the shoulder does both, and I kind of went down. But I really just want to show that the shoulder, this doesn't have to be here, because the point is that they both split. Because it's going to get too complicated. It's going to get too, there's too many subtleties that kind of do both. This is what I wanted to do. That was the first part. The first part was the girdle and the joint. Cool. Erase, and now the shoulder's in two parts. So just don't worry about that. The other section here. So you have the girdle and the joint. I realized when I started explaining it, like, no, I was looking at an old chart, and then it doesn't match over. So you have the joint, so you have muscles like the rotator cuff. Rotator cuff provides stability. It keeps the head of the humerus close to the scapula. Then you have muscles like the pectoralis major. You have the latissimus dorsi that all cross the shoulder joint. It crosses the space between the scapula and the humerus. So it actually attaches onto the arm. So it's going to lift the arm up, the deltoid, biceps, part of the triceps is part of the shoulder joint. So you have muscles that act on the arm. The girdle muscles act on the scapula. So I'll say that again. The girdle moves the scapula, muscles that pinch the shoulder blades back, the traps. Like I said, the pectoralis minor, the serratus anterior, they move the shoulder blade. Then you have the joint, the muscles that cross, that attach onto the arm, the humerus in some way. It rotates it in and out. You know, you're gonna lift it up and do all sorts of things. Now, what I wanna explain here, and what's really important, and you know, this is really what like the functional, because that's a lot. It's not going to be a super long episode. This is a lot of information to digest, and it's important you have this base when we start talking about other things. But I want you to stand up. If you're able to, stand up right now, and I want you to take your arm, and I want you to move your arm in every possible direction you can do without moving your scapula, without moving your shoulder blade. So you can go like this. You can go a little bit to the front, maybe like here, and then down. So try that without moving your shoulder blade. You can kind of go up like 30 degrees, go out and down, right? You can't go above 90. You can only go here. So look at this. Would you consider that a lot of mobility? I wouldn't, right? That's not a lot of mobility at the shoulder joint, because remember, I'm not moving the girdle, I'm not moving the scapula. Does that make sense? So float some hearts if you're still alive, float some hearts, float some thumbs if you still have a fucking pulse, okay? This isn't a lot of mobility. It's some, right? But that's a shoulder joint. It's some. So your body doesn't give you too much mobility because it doesn't sacrifice that much stability. And vice versa. So you have some mobility and some stability, okay? Now, move your arm as far as you possibly can, period. Okay? You would consider that a lot more mobility, and you consider that a lot less stability because of how much you're moving it. However, the girdle, the reason why you can move your arm like this is because of the muscles that move the scapula, that protract it, that elevate it, allow you. You wouldn't be able to go above this if you didn't have your shoulder blade. Once you go up, you have upward rotation that allows your arm, the scapula tilts and kind of aim. It's like a cannon. The scapula is like a cannon. It aims the arm. It allows you, it would be like, you want to go to the front? Protraction. You want to go up? Here you go. It allows the humerus, I can't move. The scapula's like, you know what? We'll tilt. And then it goes, and the scapula pivots. Okay? So this allows for all that range of motion. So what you have is a combination of two things that allow for all that mobility without sacrificing the stability. That's why the shoulder joint moves in that sense. That's why all this works together. Because if you got rid of this and you just had a joint and an arm, let's say you just had this, just a joint, just one thing that allowed all of this, you would have so much fucking mobility at one spot. The stability would be absolute dog shit garbage, and you would tear and dislocate the hell out of it all the time. So it is dispersed over two interactive things. The scapulothoracic joint, where the scapula rotates and slides around, and the actual humerus and the scapula and the shoulder joint itself. Okay? So you have two things that work together synergistically to provide all the movement we have at the shoulder. Now, there's issues, because if you have things that are locking up the scapula, it's not allowing the arm to move properly, and you can tear things like your rotator cuff. If you don't have proper stability in your rotator cuff muscles, and the humerus is not lined up properly with the scapula, you can have it sliding around, you can have little micro tears. So you still need to train all these things properly. You still need to have proper motion. You still need to have proper stability with those little small rotator cuff muscles. You still need the pectoralis major and the latissimus dorsi and the biceps and the triceps long head and everything to enact force to provide, because we can lift a lot of weight with our arms. We also have a great range of motion. So that's why we have a great range of motion, and we still have stability, because you have two different things working together to provide all that motion, so it's not all on one type of joint. If you have all that mobility in one spot, it's sacrificing the stability, and vice versa. So your body creates stability and mobility together synergistically with two different things. That is why activities with the shoulder blades are super important for the shoulders. That's why when you're elevated and hunched up and your scapula are elevated, you get all jacked up in your neck and you have shoulder pain and neck pain, because it's all related. Now, it's very important to have mobility. It's very important to have stability with the shoulder, in specific ways because you don't have a lot of mobility with the girdle. You don't have a ton. And with the joint, it's very important to have the stability to make sure that the bones stay close to each other. Because literally what you're doing is you're keeping the humerus close to the scapula. That's what the rotator cuff does. It keeps it close. Because if it slides around, dislocations, tears, labrum tears, all this fucking shit. And that's bad. I don't have to explain to you what it feels like to have shoulder pain. But there's a lot going on here, and they're interrelated and they're dependent on one another. And if you want proper mobility, if you want proper function, if you want decreased risk of injury, if you want increased function and strength, you need to have both these things fucking bumping. And I'm telling you, this type of shit is what we're gonna be hammering all week, and the workshop on Thursday is gonna be fucking on fire. I am going to lay some serious smackdown on shoulder stability, on shoulder mobility, on shoulder strength. It is going to be badass. So if you have not yet, you still got a few days. You have plenty of time to catch up on the previous workshops. Link is in the description. Sign up for premium today. Seriously, don't wait. Got some huge announcements coming for everyone in the very near future as a whole community. But the premium workshop is going to be in my premium group, premium.swolenormous.com. Link is in the description. Workshop on Thursday, gonna be fucking badass. And if you're watching and you're in premium and you've done the other workshops and you loved them, drop some positive comments, let everyone know how much they fucking kick ass. This is going to be, it's always the best workshop. They keep on getting better. This is gonna be awesome on Thursday. So thank you so much for joining me for episode 456 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular podcast, Swolecast, broadcast, beardcast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex. Biceps. Every day, live at 12 noon Eastern time right here on Facebook. Catch all the episodes on YouTube and also listen to the podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes. Everyone have a wonderful day. Make sure to follow me over on Instagram at Swolenormous if you're not already. If you're not following me on Instagram, big mistake. Instagram and Instagram stories, make sure you follow me at Swolenormous. Check it out. Love you guys. Peace, McGee's, deuce, Magoos. I'll see you all around the bend. Slaters.